Do I really want to take that step? And because if you're a serious person, you're going to think about that seriously. This is your life. And for me, I was never a person to just date for the sake of dating. If there's no potential to marry you, I'm not interested. So when the feelings started coming up and you start thinking, okay, it seems like there's something more than just friendship with this person, it can be scary. And for me, in my situation, I was halfway around the world from home. I was in a very new culture, a new place, so those complicated things as well. And I had my doubts. I thought, this will never work. Just snap out of it, Jade. You're being silly. This is not practical. And so you weigh those options. And I remember talking to him and just saying, I don't know. I'm not sure it could work. It scares me, so I just don't know. And he was very gracious. And just said, that's okay. Just take however long you need. He was always very confident. Take however long you need. Pray about it. Think about it. And just see how you continue feeling over time.
I think it's very, very important when you are dating to be practical. You know, look at there are some factors that are very important. And ask yourself, I know God is able to do miracles, but from where you're standing, what are you seeing? So we started talking like, you after this year you're going to go back to Canada and I'm going to continue school here. Is it even worth investing our time in? So we started talking. And one thing that I thank God that I believed in at a very early age was, if it is God's will, God will open a way. So I'm not going to try to force. I've seen a lot of people, you've heard about pursue. Have you heard that word? You have to pursue her. And a lot of men, that's what they're taught. No, even if she says no, just pursue her. Almost forcing her. And I didn't want to get into a place where I'm forcing somebody into a relationship, so that when things get bad, it's like, if you didn't force me, I could not be in this problem. So I remember when she was saying, I don't think this is going to work, I said, that's good. If it is God's will, then we don't continue this. I'm perfectly fine with that. And you had about a week or two, and then we said, I just feel some kind of peace about this. Say, we'll do it. We'll take one day at a time and see where God leads to this. So I will encourage the young people, don't force things. The concerns are very valid. Every concern is very valid. Don't ignore it. Because if you ignore them at that early stage, it becomes a big thing later. But if you trust in the Lord when these concerns come and say, God, I'm open for anything. And at that time, the feelings can be so overwhelming. You see, like, I really want to be with this person. I really think this is the right person. So I want to make it work. Let God make it work if it is His will. And be willing to sacrifice that feeling and that companionship that you are starting to develop. Then we go to a place where we are now getting a little serious. But by that time, distance had come between us. She had moved back, and I was in Kenya. So we had to say, how do we take it a step further? And yet how do we...
Yeah, so our situation is a little bit unique because we're from two different countries that are very far apart. So at the end of the year that I had in Kenya, we had been dating, we had been getting into courtship, we had talked to important people in our lives, like our parents, our families, our mentors, our leaders at the Bible college, so that we had their blessing as well, which is important. You can't place everything on what your family says. I will say that because it depends on who they are and what their perspective is. But it is very important that people who are important to you, who you have a good relationship with, can be able to bless your relationship. I think that's important. And thankfully, we had a lot of support from both sides, which was helpful. And so when I went back to Canada, even before I left, in the last couple of months, we really had to have some serious discussions about, do we continue? Do we really feel that God is in this? Because if He's not, I don't think that we're going to survive. I don't know how many miles it is, but it's a lot. But if he is in it, he will make a way. And so ultimately, after those discussions and a lot of prayer, we decided yes. So we made that commitment before I left. Because really, realistically, you don't want someone to leave, they're going halfway around the world, and you don't know. Are they going to stay committed? Are they sure? So we both knew. I knew he was sure. He knew. I was sure. We said, we may have to wait a while. We'll just wait and trust God. And so that's what we did.
And waiting is sometimes very difficult. But I want to say something she mentioned. In our triangle, how do you get God to know about this person? God has a way of speaking to us. And some of that is through family, through the spiritual leaders, through the friends that we have. And sometimes friends and family can see things that you are not seeing. And that's why they say love is blind. Because when you have this strong feeling towards this person, and they come and say, the way I'm seeing that guy, the way I'm seeing that girl, something is not right. Sometimes you feel like they're becoming like wet blankets, trying to discourage you. And you might say, I don't want to listen to you. But those voices are very important. Those voices could be God's voices. Listen to that. Those voices would be God's voice. So listen to them carefully. If your family is saying, I'm not sure about this, it looks like a thug, it looks like that you will be doing drugs. Especially fathers and girls, it can be a little tricky. They might want you to stay forever. But listen to those things, because they have the best interest at heart for you. And now, we've been married how many years now? I forget.
10.
Almost 10 years. And how do you see that cycle happening?
Yeah, I think this is also an important point to touch on. And those of you who are married, who have been married for some time, I think you'll be able to agree and to attest to the fact that it doesn't just stop at marriage. You know, when you're young, you think, just get married, that's the end goal. And you don't really give much thought to what comes after. But there's a whole life after you're married. For most of us, we will live longer married than we did not married.
Think about that for a second. Longer in marriage than when you are single.
I know it feels long now while you're waiting. But the truth is, you will spend a longer amount of time with this person, living with this person, than you did single. So it's a very crucial decision. It's not something to take lightly. And you have to think about what comes after marriage. You can't just say, I want to get married, and yeah, I want a good marriage, but not think about what that means. You have to prepare for it in all these stages as you're getting closer. And then as you get married, it continues. The cycle continues. You don't just stop. It's true, you continue being friends. If you can't be friends with your spouse, it's going to be hard to make it last. It's going to be hard. So you can't forget your foundation. You can't forget the things that brought you close together. The things that attracted you to each other. You need to keep those in your mind and be intentional about facilitating that kind of relationship, even when you're married.
One final question. If you were to do this all over again, what would you do differently?
I don't know, you didn't give me a pre-warning for that question. I'm not sure if I could if I could pick something specific I would do differently. Because I'm very thankful that we did kind of follow that process and God was in it every step of the way. I think the biggest regrets people have is when they get married when they didn't do it that way. And we're not saying it can't work. Like Julius said, God has a redemptive plan in every situation. But when you've done it and you've managed to go within His plan, there's great blessing that comes from that. And security and stability. And was it difficult? Yes. We were apart for a year and a half. And this is 12 years ago. There's no WhatsApp, we didn't have a computer, it was email, and sometimes I would buy calling cards, and the connection was very bad. There was a delay, and so it took a lot of commitment without being physically together. But in some ways, I think God used that to strengthen our relationship, because we didn't have to worry about the physical stuff. We really continued to get to know each other on a deep level. So I would encourage you, even if you may not be able to put that much distance between yourselves, but you can put some boundaries so that you focus on what's really important. The physical stuff will be there. You'll get there. But take the time while you're courting, while you're dating, to truly get to know that person. And that way, I feel like you won't have regrets. I mean, people who have regrets once they're married, it's about how they laid that foundation. It's about how they went through that triangle or didn't. And then they're trying to get back in. So I don't think I have any regrets, thankfully.
Good, let's put our hands together for very good.